you get my point. It's easier to play at home than it is on the road. So, you're looking at that Dallas game and saying, oh, it's going to happen again with Kansas City. Don't forget about Lincoln Financial Field. It's a lot easier to play there for Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. It's Football Friday, Focused Friday with John McMullen, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Keep going at statesidevodka.com. Use that keyword JAKIB and get 15% off a 1-liter bottle. And we thank everybody who has already gone to statesidevodka.com. I bring in Johnny Mack for our Football Friday edition of Football 24/7. Johnny Mack, welcome in on a Friday night, brother. Football Focus today. How are you, sir?
Focus Friday. I'm focused, Krausey. Got to be focused when you're around Nick Sirianni.
All right. Well, I like that. So pick it up from conversation on football on Focus Football Friday. Started early this morning on Birds 365, then transitioned out of conversation on Birds 365, dropped you into the NovaCare down in South Philadelphia. So pick it up from there. What occurred today? What did we miss today? What do you have to report today before we get into some general conversation?
Well, we Shady McCoy, I guess it starts there, retiring as a member of the Philadelphia Eagles, will be honored, obviously, at halftime of Sunday's game. So he spoke early before practice, which was at Lincoln Financial Field. Nick Sirianni has started doing that on Fridays before home games. He wants to give the players kind of a feel for what it's going to be like at the link. So, very short practice as always on Fridays. And then was back to the NovaCare complex. Nick Sirianni spoke for a brief time because we had a little off-the-record session with him after that. And then Rodney McLeod spoke because he's going to make his season debut against the Kansas City Chiefs, and also Derek Barnett. So, tough week. We've been talking about it for this team coming off 2 consecutive losses and facing an explosive Kansas City team, which on paper, obviously, is probably the best offensive team in the NFL. But defensively, they're not very good. So we'll see how the Eagles go about it. I'm very interested to see the game plan this week because, if it's similar to last week and really this week, Monday night in Dallas, they're not going to outscore this team. So if Nick Sirianni goes in there with the mentality of we have to keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs like he did with the Dallas Cowboys, I don't like their chances, to be honest.
Start with LeSean McCoy, John. Can you summarize what LeSean had to say in that short presser? How much he missed Philadelphia, how much he loved being here. What did LeSean have to say?
Yeah, it was pretty much, he wished the prime of his career would have finished in Philadelphia, and obviously the trade during the Chip Kelly era, which didn't turn out very well. Kiko Alonso came back from Buffalo. Shady McCoy had a few good seasons out for the Bills. But, then if you look down the path, Howie Roseman was able to spin Kiko Alonso and Byron Maxwell off to the Miami Dolphins, as you remember, which started the process of getting up in the draft to draft Carson Wentz, who I know Eagles fans don't like, but they already forget if he wasn't here in 2017, they don't win a Super Bowl. So, it kind of feels, but obviously Shady McCoy is, I don't know if he's the best back in Eagles history because you have to go back to Wilbert Montgomery, but he is the franchise's all-time leading rusher. He's a member of the all 2010 NFL decade team. So he's a borderline Hall of Fame player. Certainly going to be a Hall of Fame Eagles player. We'll see if he gets into Canton. I tend to think he's probably going to just come up a little short, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's got a couple of Super Bowl rings. Didn't get him here, but he's got a couple of them.
Yeah, ended his career, which tells you, obviously Shady wasn't a big part of the Kansas City Chiefs, although he contributed that year, but didn't play in the playoff run. Then Tampa Bay, he barely contributed last year, but won a Super Bowl ring. Kind of tells you when he was a great player in Philadelphia, really good player in Buffalo. That's why I think people put too much emphasis on Super Bowl rings, because when he was a great player, he wasn't winning Super Bowls. When he was just at the end of his career, he won Super Bowls. So,
Well, I think most of the conversation this week, including last night, Johnny Mac out at Screwballs, was a lot. There's a lot of heat all of a sudden on the head coach. I mean, people have changed their mind already.
Wow.
On the head coach.
And I'm negative, Krausey. Come on.
They don't like the coordinators. They don't understand what's happening, and they think Nick's way over his head. That's just some of the vibe that's out there. Right or wrong, you're responsible for the decisions that you make, and whether the perception and the reality is an illusion, that's what's there right now.
Yeah. I think the perception is an illusion. I don't think Nick Sirianni is in over his head. I think he's a young coach who's learning on the job. I don't know how many times I said to expect that.
Yeah, but I don't know if you would have ever predicted 3 running plays on a game in Dallas on Monday night that have led to a lot of the criticism around Nick. Now, I don't know whether that criticism is fair or not. You were in Dallas, you're in Arlington, you watched the game with your own eyes. I mean, did it at all appear to be as though Nick knew what he was doing in that game? I'm not trying to beat up on Nick. I'm just trying to understand that process. It's one thing to see it on paper. It's one thing to plan it on a chalkboard. It's another to do it in real time.
Well, I'll say it like this. I think the Eagles have to make a decision, and the decision isn't what people think it is. And we've talked about this a lot about, okay, is Jalen Hurts going to be the future at quarterback, or is he not? Jeffrey Lurie wants to have a certain type of offense. He wants to have the Kansas City offense. That's what he wants. Now, it's very difficult to get to that level. It's very difficult to find Patrick Mahomes. It's very difficult to find Tyreek Hill. It's very difficult to find Travis Kelce. It's personnel driven, obviously. But he wants that type of offense as far as explosion, as far as innovation, as far as being able to do certain things. If he wants that type of offense, Jeffrey Lurie, and he's not open to understanding there are other ways to do things, Jalen Hurts isn't going to be the quarterback of the Philadelphia Eagles next year. So all we're doing is biding time. If he wants to build around Jalen Hurts, you have to do what Nick Sirianni is doing. You have to have an RPO-driven offense. That's what Jalen does well. when he does do it well. So I guess my question to Eagles fans would be, what do you want? Do you want to admit failure on the quarterback, that everybody wants to succeed? Or do you want to build around the quarterback you have?
Does the quarterback, in this case, Jalen Hurts, have the ability to control his own success?
No. Jalen Hurts is not Patrick Mahomes. No, very few people are. You're talking about the Aaron Rodgers of the world. But if you watch Thursday Night Football after you were at Screwballs and the Countdown to Kickoff show, you saw Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. He's not Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, never mind Patrick Mahomes. So what do you want to do? Do you want to take advantage of what you have? And that's a quarterback who's run-driven, who's RPO-driven? Or do you want to go in a different direction? This is an organizational decision. Nick Sirianni's trying to win games today on Sunday, and that means you're going to see RPOs. And if you don't read run, it's going to be a pass. Now, I heard Greg Cosell, and I told this to Jody Mack on Birds 365 this morning. I have tremendous respect for Greg Cosell. He's saying you got to turn Jalen Hurts into a more traditional quarterback. You got to let him hand the football off to Miles Sanders in a traditional manner and play action. Like I said, I have tremendous respect for Greg. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That's going to be worse than what you saw on Monday night. That's not what he can do. So Nick Sirianni's a bit pigeonholed here. He's not turning Jalen Hurts into Joe Burrow, never mind Patrick Mahomes. Can't do it. So you got to build your offense on the strengths of the quarterback you do have until you get the next quarterback. And I already called it on Burst 365 this morning. It's October 1st, Krausey. I called it. Next year at this time, we'll be talking about a different quarterback because Jeffrey Lurie won't accept that type of offense. So we're all biding time right now.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Let's get into some of the game expectations and how it's going to play out while we bide our time and enjoy a beautiful day at the Link on Sunday, at least weather-wise. It's supposed to be gorgeous at the Link on Sunday afternoon. And, of course, John McMullen will be down at the stadium. We'll have the live post-game show. We'll get all wall-to-wall coverage here across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Okay, let's get into it then, John. The argument or the point can be made that the Kansas City Chiefs defense is not very good, so bad that Devontae Smith, for example, could all of a sudden find himself back in the headlines in a good way instead of a negative way if Jalen can get him the football. Do you see that as part of what will play out on Sunday?
I don't know what people are expecting here. If they're expecting a high volume passing offense, they're not going to get it. They are not going to get it. Can you see big plays? You've already seen big plays. And the occasional big play, sure. The consistency of, 300, 350-yard passing games, not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not the type of quarterback you have. So I think people have to temper their expectations. Remember, the Eagles were second in the league in rushing coming into the Dallas game. And everybody's talking about the running game. They're still top 10. I think they're fifth or sixth, even after running. That's how explosive they were in the first two games because of the quarterback. not because of the running back, because of the quarterback. So I think people have to start thinking in a different way if they want the Eagles to win football games. And I don't know, by the way, if you want the Eagles to win football games, because we can get into the Sixers mode. If you don't believe in Jalen Hurts and you want to go draft a quarterback, obviously the higher you are in the draft, the better chance you have of getting a good quarterback. So people have to start asking themselves, what do they want? And it starts with Jeffrey Lurie. I know what Jeffrey Lurie wants, and it's not Jalen Hurts.
How do you evaluate Miles Sanders? So someone says Miles Sanders. How do you evaluate him, John?
I think he's a very explosive running back. I've always compared him to a home run hitter in baseball. A guy who might hit 35 home runs, but is going to hit 240 and strike out a lot. That's my comparison for Miles Sanders. I think there's a lot of people in Philadelphia, and I've said this a lot. I was on Mark Barzetta's show this morning. I said the same thing. They're skipping steps with Miles Sanders. Miles Sanders is not in the conversation. If you think about the best backs in this league, it's Derrick Henry, it's Dalvin Cook, it's Christian McCaffrey when he's healthy, Alvin Kamara. He's not in that conversation. He's not that type of player. What he is an explosive guy who's going to hit home runs. You saw it last year with the 370-yard runs, 370-plus-yard runs. Now, the other stuff is where the problems come in. You know, if the play is blocked for 4 yards, you got to get me 4 yards. You can't be trying to kick it outside to hit that home run. We've talked about Miles as a receiver, the inconsistency, the drop balls there, pass protection. There's a reason Kenny Gainwell plays in obvious passing situations and hurry-up situations, because Miles isn't a very good pass protector either. So what he is an explosive runner, home run hitter, but he needs to improve the other aspects of his game. And by the way, he's got the talent to do so, but he's got to do it. And he hasn't done it to this point.
It would help if they give him a chance, right?
Well, pass protection, pass receiving doesn't have anything to do with handing the football off. Now, again, if you want to just turn around and hand the football to Miles Sanders, that's fine and good. As I said, when I was talking about the Greg Cosell statement, if you want Jalen Hurts to play action football, you're going to lose the football game. So you might be happier. The running back might get more yards. You're going to lose the football game because he's not capable. He's not a top tier guy from the pocket who's just going to throw the football down the field. And if you're trying to set up play action like you're Tom Brady or like you're a Gary Kubiak, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Shanahan offense, you're setting yourself up for failure. So again, do you want to take advantage? This is where we started this. Do you want to take advantage of the quarterback you have, or don't you? That's what Eagles fans have to ask themselves. If you want to take advantage of the quarterback you have, it's RPO, RPO, RPO. And that's what the Eagles are doing at. And guess what? Sometimes that's ugly. It's an ugly play to begin with. It's a non-aesthetic play. From my standpoint, it's not entertaining from just watching it, but it can be very successful. What do you want? That's what I ask Eagles fans, because if you want Jalen Hurts to be, and I hesitate to use Patrick Mahomes because that's ridiculous, but I'll use the guys from last night. If you want Jalen Hurts to be Joe Burrow or Trevor Lawrence, it's going to get ugly. It's going to get ugly quickly.
I think all the young quarterbacks that come into the league start too early, but that's for another conversation. That's for another conversation. I like the Andy Reid approach with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, I'm going to trade up to get you, and now I'm going to sit. Now I'm going to give you the clipboard.
Well, you have to have somebody who can play, and Alex Smith was in Kansas City at the time, winning a lot of football games. If you look at some of the young quarterbacks this year, Chicago would probably be the perfect example of this. You know, they have a veteran quarterback. Matt Nagy wanted to go that way as an Andy Reid disciple, wanted to start Andy Dalton. There's such tremendous pressure to get Justin Fields on the field. It's really hard to do unless you're winning football games. Andy was winning football games with Alex Smith. So nobody says, hey, we're losing. Where's the young guy? If you're a bad team, there's too much pressure. And you draft a quarterback at the top of the draft, you got to put him on the field. You have to.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Don't forget, use that keyword JAKIB when you go to statesidevodka.com. Get 15% off a 1-liter bottle. They'll deliver to you in Pennsylvania right before kickoff. Go to Stateside.
Get it before kickoff this week.
Yes, sir. Get it before. Go to statesidevodka.com. Okay. Eagle defense, John. Patrick Mahomes, the last couple of games, because they come in here actually 1-2. So Mahomes comes in looking a little bit human. Couple of interceptions, sacked a couple of times. All of a sudden, now we know he's vulnerable or he's beatable or can Javon Hargrave get to Patrick Mahomes? Can he make that kind of difference? Can he get pressure to help the defense make a stop or two in this game?
Yeah, I think, we've seen enough of Jonathan Gannon to know what you're certainly going to see. I mean, it's very zone heavy in the first 3 games. They're certainly not going to stop that against Kansas City. I mean, they have the most explosive playmaker in the league in Tyreek Hill. The last thing you want to do is cover him one-on-one. And then you have Travis Kelce you have to deal with on top of it. And, oh, by the way, Mecole Hardman, who's also tremendously fast. So they're going to play a ton of zone. They're going to try to keep everything in front of them, rally up and tackle to the football. The good news is Kansas City's not going to play like Dallas. Dallas wants to run the football. The Eagles' biggest weakness on defense is their linebackers when it comes to stopping the run. I don't think that's going to be a big problem against Kansas City because they don't want to do that. They want to play the way the Eagles want to play down the road, which we talked about with Jeffrey Lurie. They want the explosive offense, passing offense, and that's what they have. And then when they get the lead, they'll run the football. The opposite that we always talk about. The old school days, you ran to set up the pass. Now you pass to set up the run. The Chiefs are the foremost example of that. That's what they want to do. So the style is a little bit better for the Eagles, even though Kansas City's a better football team than Dallas, although they haven't shown it early this season. The style, the way they play is better suited for the Eagles defense. Not to say they're going to stop them because it's Mahomes, it's Hill, it's Kelce. But at least the style of the way they play, the Eagles can match up a little bit better than Dallas just taking 8 yards every single time in the running game. Kansas City can't do that. They don't want to do that. And they go about things a different way, which is probably better, at least better suited for what the Eagles do well.
John, is it foolish to think that the Eagles have a chance in the game on Sunday? Or is it such a lopsided comparison of talent that this one could be ugly early?
No, this is an NFL game, and I always say there's no blowout. There's no Alabama Samford, Alabama Furman games where you know before kickoff who's going to win the football game. Everybody in the NFL can beat you. Everybody. We already seen it. People are talking about 17-0 with Kansas City. They already lost 2 games. Now, I guarantee you, last week, I guarantee you those teams were not thinking, oh, well, look at the schedule. And those fan bases are saying, we're going to beat the Chiefs. You have the overly optimistic fans who are going to go, we're going to win every game. But the realistic ones are saying, oh, well, there's no way we can beat the Chiefs. And all of a sudden, you beat the Chiefs. Tampa Bay, a lot of people, oh, they might go 17-0. They already lost. The Eagles have a lot of good players now, a lot of injuries. We know the offensive line is struggling. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your what. The Eagles are probably not going to win this football game. But if Kansas City shows up and plays a C game and the Eagles play really well, they'll be in the football game. This is professional football. This isn't the Eagles belong on the field. And if Kansas City doesn't improve, and certainly defensively, I mean, they've been flat out awful defensively, terrible defensively. And they continue to play that way. There's a bunch of teams that are going to beat Kansas City this year. A bunch of teams. So they gotta fix their own house. But if you're being honest with yourself, it's going to be really difficult to hold down that offense. And they're going to score some points, and then you start looking at how are the Eagles capable of winning a shootout? We're back to that. I don't think so at this point. So you got to hope Kansas City plays that C game or D game. Best case scenario would be an F game, and you play well. And yeah, this is the NFL. There's always a chance.
Are the Eagles capable of managing sustained drives and extending the play and extending possession, and whether or not the drive results in a score or not, it allows their defense to re-rack or regroup or get some wind or at least have time for a slug of Gatorade before they have to go back out onto the field when you're running the offense that you're running. You're not giving the ball to Miles. You're running the offense that we saw on Monday night, which resulted in a lot of fast, quick possession turnovers from one to the other.
Well, yeah, you have to execute, and you have to convert third downs. I mean, that's everything. They're 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Obviously, you're having it. That's kind of what I said about Kansas City. The Eagles played a poor game. They played maybe a D game, maybe an F game in Dallas. You got to play your A game to beat the Chiefs. You got to convert. They had a lot of long, sustained drives against San Francisco, for instance. Go back a week. Now, the Eagles' problem is they have not, even when they have these sustained drives, they have not cashed in on these opportunities too often in scoring opportunities. So that is part of it as well. But yeah, I mean, situational football is the biggest part of this game in general. And third down is a big part of situational football. And whoever wins third down, everybody talks about the turnover battle. That's huge. No question about it. The explosive play battle. But people kind of forget about third downs. If you convert third downs and you stop the other team from converting, you're going to win most of those games, to say the least. Eagles were terrible on third down in Dallas. That can't continue, obviously.
Well, perhaps a duplicate of the big shots that they did complete against a better 49er team at the link perhaps gets them or keeps them in the game. I don't know. Jalen Reagor, if he doesn't step out of bounds, if this doesn't happen, this occurs. I get it. You can make that statement all the time or for every game, but at least against a better football team, meaning I think the 49ers came in here, they were a better team than the Eagles, but the result ultimately ended up with them winning. I think Philadelphia could have won that football game. They didn't, but I think at least they were in a position to win it.
Oh, I agree. And, remember, this game is at Lincoln Financial Field. So people that want to talk about how poorly they played in Dallas, that's also a rookie head coach, a young quarterback making a seventh start in front of 93,000 people. And I got to tell you, there were, we've seen Eagles fans take over stadiums in the past. They didn't take over that stadium. The vast majority of them were Cowboys fans. So that's a really tough environment. Even though it's not, as we talked about it leading up to the game, it's not on top of you. The place is so big. It's so, I don't think it's one of the tougher places to play on the road. Lincoln Financial Field is, and the Chiefs are going to be dealing with that at least until if the Eagles start playing poorly and maybe they turn on the Eagles. But
well,
you get my point. It's easier to play at home than it is on the road. So, you're looking at that Dallas game and saying, oh, it's going to happen again with Kansas City. Don't forget about Lincoln Financial Field. It's a lot easier to play there for Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts.
I think that's a great way to end our Football 24/7 with John McMullen on this Focus Friday here across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel, all presented by Stateside Vodka. Still a good idea to go to statesidevodka.com, use the keyword JAKIB, and get 15% off a 1 liter bottle, assuming, of course, you're of the legal age here in Pennsylvania. But I suggest that you do it going into the game instead of waiting until the game concludes. Might be a good suggestion and a good thought. Johnny Mack, the invitation is wide open now as your partner on Birds 365. Jody Mack has confirmed that his network schedule next week does allow him to join us at Screwballs next week. So I'm leaving it out there. I know you mentioned yesterday about the bye week, but once we get through the game on Sunday and you see what it looks like, I'd love to have Jody Mack and Johnny Mack at a great sports bar in King of Prussia, Screwballs, win or lose. Great crowd again last night out at Screwballs. And the open invitation is there for you to join.
Yeah, well, Jody Mack already has his schedule. I don't get my schedule until
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
but it's gonna be a game week, so it's gonna be difficult. But bye week, we'll get Jody there. Jody and Johnny Mack on the bye week.
I love it. Good stuff. All right, great stuff from John McMullen tonight on behalf of all the viewers and subscribers who consume John McMullen information. We thank you very much for being here. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Johnny Mack, great stuff all week, joining us here for our Focus Friday. Go Birds. On behalf of John McMullen and everybody else tuning in, and of course, Xander Krause producing the show, I'm Joe Krause. See you next time, everybody.